So let's get into our first topic, and it's more of an evergreen topic. This has already kind of happened, but what we will talk about a lot, which is what I've always talked about on my shows, whether it's Live on 3 or the breakdown, stuff like that, is production of events, the world of production, esports, content creation, gaming stuff, all the different companies coming out. And one of the big things that happened during kind of pre-COVID, we talked about it actually on the breakdown, some of their press releases, but then during COVID, they came out gangbusters. They came out loaded for bear, Venn.
Yeah.
This new mega network coming to deliver us content in a whole new way.
Yeah, so the idea was they come out and say, we want to be the MTV of gaming. That's what we want to do. Very broad. I haven't watched MTV. Is it still around? I don't know.
I think it is.
Okay, so it does exist still. So the idea was obviously bringing short, long-form content, about 85% long-form is what they quoted, to network television, because they raised a large amount of funding from, I think Nexstar.
Yeah, quite a bit of money here. Here's some of the
$43 million.
$43 million.
Okay, so that's a large sum of money. And I'll be honest, I auditioned to be on Venn.
Okay.
Right, because they ran auditions in LA. And basically, we were also in kind of lockdown scenarios, so I had to sort of set up a fake desk at home and read a prompter. I didn't have the equipment to do it, and Ashley stood in there, and she just overshadowed me as the person who was supposed to be just reading one. Anyway, obviously didn't get a call back for that, which is fine. I just like the Twitter followers. But yeah, that was a pretty ambitious project. Clear to see that a lot of money was being spent, outside of just the investment, and they were really hoping to be all-encompassing, right? Gaming, lifestyle, fashion, culture, the whole kit and caboodle.
It seems like, and we laugh about it now because it's happened, it seems like they wanted to be the new G4. And then G4 decided to come back.
G4 decided the new G4,
by the
right?
way, yeah. Because it's very slick, it's very highly produced. Some of the things they said when Ariel came out,
There's Ariel Horn, by the way.
Ariel Horn,
obviously, who was
award-winning
head honcho on LCS, yeah, one of the brains behind the LCS as an entertainment product, and also 4-time Emmy award-winning dude.
Yeah. Again, when you saw the initial press releases, you're like, wow, there's smart people behind this. There's smart money behind here. And we had fired up our little production company, Do Not Peak Entertainment. So we're like, what are they doing? This is crazy. And the idea was they were going to have an LA-based studio and a New York-based studio. This is initially pre-COVID. And then again, on both coasts, cranking out content. And I think their play, much like G4's play, is not Twitch and YouTube. It's taking these shows to the mainstream over-the-top networks that want this kind of content. The big distro channels, TV stuff.
And maybe the networks wanted that, right? Maybe. But did they sell to any big networks? I think Nexstar was one of their investors who were deeply entrenched with networks and Roku TV, right? Of course, which is obviously a huge property. But I wonder, it's like they almost aimed the product at the networks and not the people who'd actually be watching it.
And that's, I think, always the linchpin problem. If you go after that mainstream, but you not only ignore the hardcore, the regulars of your restaurant, if you will,
right,
or you make content that turns them off, it's also, in the end, not going to help your mainstream because they want the buzz that the hardcore likes.
Sure.
Right? And we use the word authentic a lot in our space, right? Gamers for gamers. Every company is for gamers, by gamers, all these different things. And it didn't feel, even though they had some authentic personalities and people from our space, it didn't feel authentic. And I often wonder if it's stuff like, is it too slick? Is it too nice? We're in a up little XR set, right?
Well, we are trying to be a little slick here.
A little slick. It's not a cheap place we're in, but it's obviously, we're not trying to, we're not in a fancy New York studio. And then I wonder, the minute I recognize and like a personality, I watch you, I enjoy your stuff, but if I tune in and all of a sudden you're reading teleprompter to me, I don't like you anymore because you're not who I liked.
I've been there,
right? And our industry is generally not teleprompted, right? You're generally not scripted, right? And these were all very scripted shows, right? Hi, welcome back, and that you need a little bit of that for your plugs in and out. And I get that, you got to get your plugs right, but when it feels like you're watching the breakdown and I'm Sir Scoots and next up, I think us hardcore just instantly go, ugh, what are you doing,
Yeah, okay. I mean, obviously we'll talk about sort of more recent news in a moment, but I think it started in August, right? I think like April the year after, it was like August 2020, 2019, around there. Then the next year in April, they said, okay, this is not working.
Yeah.
We're going to scale things down. This isn't even the recent news. So this is another scaling down, the fourth scaling down, as Jacob Wolf correctly points out. And this is a big scale down. But what I'm talking about is, I think, prior to this, where they say, okay, no more polish. In fact, we're getting rid of most of our long-form content, these shows, and we're going for short-form content, right? And we're trying to, eliminate the polish and get some more scuff going on. Where I think, what was the wording they used? Like raw contact with creators is what they were trying to create. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But also, like, your viewers have to care about your creators. Like, I'll be honest, I would have been in the same position. You put me on that show and people were like, who the fuck's this dickhead?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people that know me. But in general, I guess
not their fault.
Sasha Grey was on the Venn network.
Yeah.
There was this show that sort of where, she delved into some of the topics, that more can of wormsy topics about life that people deal with less. I thought that was interesting, but I mean, Matt Morello, who was the person who took the standard-looking white guy brown hair slot from me, who beat me out in the audition, was saying that it got to the point where he just went to his computer at home, got on like a vMix call, and was just on the wall while Jimmy Wong and Aaron Simon and Emma Fyfe, I think, was sat at the table talking. So Venn obviously realized people don't actually fucking want this content. They don't want the MTV of gaming. They want, a more authentic connection, which you don't get, when you put a prompter in front of someone, right? Yeah. I did like an esports weekly news show for Cloud9 for a bit. It was pretty heavily prompted. I thought the show was good, but we all love the stuff that we work on, right? We all always have a bit of a soft spot for it. But no one watched that either, because they didn't want to watch like a show that was about 24 different fucking games. Like you just... and when each time you talked about a certain game, it was so skin deep, you never really got anywhere. So anyway, that was the first scale back. Now this second scale back seems like it might be good night, Sweet Prince.
Yeah, and again, they came hot and heavy, and then they fucking poofed. And rumor on the street behind the scenes is that they're trying to sell whatever they can sell, whether that's
they
show
contracted
IP assets.
an accounting firm to handle the acquisition or something like that.
Yeah, because they ended up, I believe they were always renting their studio space in LA. They never got to the point where they built and opened their own facilities, so they don't have those kind of assets. Now maybe they have some gear,
sure,
but maybe it's some of the IP of the show. And then I just wonder, did they just, because they came out early, they made it a big deal during COVID that, hey, because remember, right when COVID hit, everyone's numbers skyrocketed. It was the greatest thing in the world because no one else had anything to watch. Everyone's numbers went up for esports, and they decided we should come early and take advantage of everyone at home needing content. So probably a good idea, but that led them to having to rent the facilities in LA versus having their own. And then I wonder, did they really need to start with 5 days of shows and all that staff and all that talent?
Or was it at least 3, right? Was it 5 full days of
I think
show?
it was 5 weeks. It was 3 to start and played over and over and over, right?
Yeah.
And I just wonder if they bit off a classic example. Did you bite off too much and burn through your runway way too quick? Misjudged who you might sell your shit to.
Or did you just make a product that people didn't actually, you might thought, like, it's an idea, right? It's a fun idea. Let's do MTV for gaming. How many times is trying to recreate like a traditional entertainment product in esports really gone that well, right?
I mean, we've seen 25 Sports Center versions of ESPN's esports news show come through the doors.
And people that watch linear TV, right, will watch that shit because they don't fucking know any better. They watch the NFL Sunday show. It's like a bunch. I'm sure they're very well respected. Some of them, like a Hall of Famer, like football players, sat there. You know what I mean? Okay, fair enough. But people don't know any better, right?
Yeah.
And even that has like a little bit of, off the cuff stuff. In Australia, we've got a show called The Footy Show that, well, I don't know if it's still going, but it aired during the week. It was about Australian football, right? And it was like pretty out there, like fairly unscripted, very like, but it was very blokey, right? Too fucking blokey.
Yeah,
Hey, get a Jimbo, and some of the humor just didn't really stick. I don't think it really would have worked in today. So Venn, they're dead. That's it. It's fucking curtains. And we are talking like high-profile investors. Noel Winston probably had his fucking, his hand in that one. I know that like again, Ariel Horn is a very, highly respected individual. This is around the same time that the product known as Quibi also just shat the bed.
Yes, Quibi came and went in the same time frame. 15 minutes.
Right,
Content on your phone.
It was predicated on the fact that Jim Bob, bloody no hands on the fucking subway, which we don't have in LA because your public transport's dog shit there. But you don't have 30 minutes to watch a show, so you're gonna watch a 15-minute show because you don't want to fucking pause anything.
Yeah, God forbid you come back to that show you were watching.
Shit, we have like DVRs that record shit for you now when you're away from home. Another example, maybe of an idea that doesn't actually just have the staying power that you might think. But what then? While we're all operating our doomed esports shows, what then do you think separates G4 from this Venn initiative? Because obviously, G4 boots itself back up. They bring in a very diverse and known cast of creators, some with extremely polarizing opinions, especially about certain billionaires' proclivities for enjoying League of Legends characters, but that's a whole other story. Yeah. Is this the same shit?
Yes. I think yes, with a little more authentic flavor.
Right. Because I tuned in and Ovily's making sex noises.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I think they're definitely trying to hit more of what we're used to and what we like to watch, whether from our streamer or type of content from some of the shows I've seen so far. And I think what obviously G4 has going for it that Venn never would have had is G4 has a history. Now, whether they match that history, whether they come back the same, like they existed before, so they'll have that. And they leaned into it, obviously, with the rebrand. They've got some of the shows coming back, etc. And obviously, I know some of the people on here really well. Like Golden Boy, obviously, we know really well.
Yeah. Who moved from New York to do this show. So that's a vote of confidence, for sure.
Yeah, but again, I see the same issue. I don't want to say problem because I don't know if it's a problem yet for them. They're obviously spending a boatload of money on facility, talent, and production crew in this building in LA, and they're hoping to make enough good content to get past Twitch. It's not the money for this kind of content does not live on Twitch and YouTube. They cannot pay for this facility from Twitch and YouTube streams. So they have to...
Especially because they're not going to fucking sell broadcast rights, are they?
And I don't think, because Twitch isn't in that game anymore.
Yeah,
now, 5 years ago...
Well, they might be again. We'll see.
Maybe for a G4, there's some money there. But the point being, they got to figure out how to take this kind of content, trim it, package it, do what they need to do to it, and sell it to the big boys, the big networks for their kind of content. Because they're all still gaming and esports.
But they are already a network, right? This is Comcast money that bankrolls this show.
Right. So here's where they have a better distro pipeline than maybe Venn had, even though Venn had that deal going. I think they've got a better in to go, this show where, let's make this show for this network. Because that's how they make their money, whether they start white labeling or co-branding and getting it off of our streaming platforms.
I will say that if we're going to attack the core issue, I think with retention on shows like this, like the authenticity, I think is important. I think that Fish Sticks is sort of mentioned in chat, and I tend to agree that if you're trying to attack this and really provide like a show that's about gaming where people can sort of definitely interface with. And what the guy was on from MythBusters was on there as well. Forget his name.
Yeah, he was interviewed.
Adam Savage. Thank you.
Adam Savage. Yeah.
People of age 35 and up just seething at me right now.
Yeah. Didn't Kevin interview him?
Yeah. And so there are some cool show content, but I'll be honest with you. I haven't really found, what's the discoverability like? I follow a bunch of people in esports, so I don't really get heavily pointed to a lot of these shows. Is this all on Twitch as well?
Yeah, I mean, they're on Twitch.
It's all on Twitch.
Yeah, I don't know where else they're putting it.
Either my head's up my ass or fucking buried in diapers that I'm changing, or I've not really managed to find my way across to the show that many times, I'll be honest with you. So, yeah.
Well, and obviously Twitch has its own discoverability problems, whether you're big or small, just in a regular person seeing what else is on the site. So if you don't already follow them or you're not in that loop where it shows up in your recommendations, you might not see some of their stuff, right? And again, in watching their content, again, it seems more genuine. It seems more unscripted and more... a lot of stream hours and tuning, and we're just gaming and fucking around, and that's what people are used to already watching on Twitch, whether it's an XQC or a different streamer. So I think it's trying to hit that vibe, whereas Venn was very ESPN of sports buttoned up, and that just wasn't gonna.
I mean, look, take it from someone who worked in the Overwatch League, from 2018 to now. That shit never worked for us. Don't think we didn't fucking try it. We were on ABC, ESPN, The Ocho.
Yep.
told by our fucking numbskull director at the time to like dumb things down as much as possible. Here you go. Where
Here's
to
to
watch?
watch.
Here we go. We found this for me. So obviously on the website you can do it and on Twitch. Also cable television on service providers such as Verizon, Fios, Xfinity, and more. Again, Xfinity, another Comcast product there. So very, very much in their bed. So I think they already have existing distro, like you mentioned. I do think they hit the mark a little bit better. We still haven't had the question of does this make sense for this generation of cable cutters? Because I don't have cable. I'm 30. I don't fucking watch that shit. If I want to watch the NFL, I watch it on my fucking fantasy football app. You know what I mean? That's it. I don't want to see the news. I don't want to see Fox. I don't want to see CNN. I don't want to see any of these motherfuckers trying to tell me some bullshit. You know what I mean?
That's
I think a lot of people would say, not that I want to tune in and have Moist Critical give me life advice either.
Yeah.
But a lot of people fucking do this. You know what I mean? So it might be that people want even more scuff than what even G4 is trying to achieve. But there's a lot of people working on that product, and obviously it would be a big blow to the industry if this didn't work, right? It'd be the kind of thing where like it might set us back a little bit if this kind of VC just goes up in smoke like Venn.
Yeah. I mean, we're not, obviously, Comcast is terrible as an ISP if you have them. I've always heard, I've never had them, but they always seem to be like, oh, what's your ISP? Oh, no wonder you're a shit. So, but that's a lot of money. That's a lot of investment. And so, yeah, fingers crossed that version 2 of G4, we'll keep an eye on it. Because, again, also, how their numbers are right now doesn't matter. How their numbers are in a year is what matters.
Yeah,
right?
it depends what their like KPIs are as well. They're not always what you think they are. They're not always like just straight viewership, but that's fine.